Picture this. A time when the Super Bowl halftime show was a lackluster intermission, a moment to grab a snack or make a quick dash to the toilet. It had lost its punch, its resonance in the cultural zeitgeist, but what if I told you there were saviors in the music world? The Divas, who swooped in and saved the day, resurrecting the halftime show from the ashes, transforming it into a phenomenon once more. Hi, I'm Diva Talk, and today we're taking a deep dive into the divas that saved the Super Bowl. In the early chapters of the halftime show, its purpose was a modest one, a diversion for spectators in restroom queues, a sideshow to the athletic drama. The NFL in its formative years lacked the glamour of its contemporary counterpart. It saw the halftime show as an unassuming interval featuring earnest, patriotic performances. Lacking the spectacle that later years would bring, Chubby Checker Up With The People tried to infuse vitality, yet none managed to captivate the audience. Gradually, the show became a mundane intermission, a restroom respite in an otherwise thrilling game. In 1992, when Fox was a fledgling broadcaster, it took a huge risk that would change television forever. When it broadcast a special, live edition of its sketch comedy program In Living Colour during the halftime show, it had football-themed sketches and a countdown clock, informing viewers when the halftime show would finish. The special drew in 22 million viewers, and the Super Bowl lost a fifth of its viewers. This prompted the NFL to drastically change their approach and book more prominent pop music. Consequently, a paradigm upheaval occurred in the nature of Super Bowl entertainment to compete with Fox. Now you're probably asking yourself, who was the first to help redefine the halftime show? It actually wasn't a diva. It was none other than the king of pop. Michael Jackson's iconic performance the following year elevated the halftime show to a blockbuster event, drawing over 133 million viewers and birthing a new era of halftime extravaganza. His show is claimed to be one of the most watched events in American television history, marking the first time that the ratings increased from the game's first half to the second as viewers watched worldwide. The show went from an afterthought to a global phenomenon. This seismic shift redefined the halftime show. Now, you might be thinking, I thought this video was about the divas that saved the Super Bowl. Well, let's just say, things get interesting over the next number of years.
And there's a lot of hypocrisy about beating up on Janet Jackson.
Over the coming years, big-name performers from Diana Ross, U2, Stevie Wonder and Aerosmith would be involved. The dominance of the halftime show over the cultural zeitgeist seemed endless. And then came 2004. While Janet Jackson was dancing with Justin Timberlake, an explosive controversy occurred that changed everything. Timberlake ripped off a piece of Jackson's costume, briefly exposing one of her breasts. The backlash was enormous. In the 2000s, before the streaming world, network TV dominated the media landscape. Now, why is this important? Because of how much it permeated society, the FCC had the power to fine broadcasters for indecency, and they unleashed a storm.
500,000 complaints about that broadcast. CBS was fined $550,000, and then the NFL was asked to refund the $10 million that they had been given to the halftime show sponsor.
Jackson's 8th album, released months after the wardrobe malfunction, sank like a lead balloon as VH1 and MTV seemed to avoid playing her at all. The Bush administration, especially Colin Powell's son of the FCC, led a hysterical crusade to demonize MTV and in particular Janet Jackson. The fallout was so great, many claim that this is the very moment when MTV decided to simply ditch music altogether.
If they're going to worry about, children and what children shouldn't see, I think they should address all issues on TV. And there's a lot of hypocrisy about beating up on Janet Jackson and not a lot of other things that children have access to.
Timberlake survived relatively unscathed, perhaps hinting at implicit sexism. Reports suggest he apologized to the producers in person. Timberlake then distanced himself from Jackson in his initial public statements, essentially allowing her to take the full brunt of the negative publicity.
All the emphasis was put on me, not on Justin. Like I said, friendship is very important to me, and certain things you just don't do to friends.
It left an indelible mark on the halftime show. For the next number of years, safe, dependable rock acts like Tom Petty and The Who played. It prevented controversy, but it didn't ignite the youth zeitgeist. And although at times other male acts wowed, from Prince to the Rolling Stone, overall the halftime show was losing its mojo. An attempt to lock into a youth market again proved disastrous in 2011 when the Black Eyed Peas gave what many view as one of the worst halftime shows in history. As the halftime show was losing its royal dominion over broadcasting, a juncture of reinvention beckoned, holding the promise of rejuvenating the show's former glory. It looked to a queen to save the day. The Queen of Pop, more precisely. In 2012, Madonna's indomitable presence as the matriarch was a true water cooler moment. She wielded her legendary persona with a confidence and finesse that ensnared the audience in her spell. The halftime show needs spectacle and excitement to keep the sports viewers glued to their TV, and the Queen of Pop supplied both in equal measure. With 114 million viewers, Madonna earned more than the game itself. The Queen of Pop has always been a master at audacious spectacle, from opulent costumes to meticulous choreo, yet behind the glittering facade lay a more profound statement. The inclusion of Like a Prayer or Express Yourself challenged paradigms on gender, sexuality and power, and therefore Madonna was able to successfully combine potent pop entertainment with a battle cry for the disenfranchised. Madonna had amped up the theatricality, and as a result, ratings increased massively. And this led to another diva taking to the stage the following year. Beyoncé. Beyoncé's acclaimed set was watched by over 110 million people and included a Destiny's Child reunion that drove the crowd wild. Her anthemic discography seemed tailor-made for a stadium audience, and while Madonna wowed with pyrotechnics, Beyoncé's voice was a smackdown of finessed female ferocity. And that was definitely an important aspect. Beyoncé had faced ongoing media scrutiny for lip-syncing to the national anthem at Obama's second-term inauguration. Beyoncé had something to prove, and by God did she prove that, highlighting that when she's at her best, she's one of the best. In 2015, Katy Perry graced the stage at the height of her pop powers. To say she was successful is an understatement. It became the third most watched in history of the Super Bowl halftime shows, sparked endless memes. Do you remember that dancing shark? And it even won a Creative Emmy. Perry transported viewers into a world of fantasy and light-hearted fun, presenting pop culture at its most exuberant. Her catchy music and vibrant visual spectacle was a welcome distraction from what many viewers saw as an ever-increasing turbulent world. USA Today acclaimed her performance, praising it by stating that it felt more like an Olympic opening than a halftime show. The following year, Coldplay headlined with Beyoncé as a special guest, although many felt like their roles were in reverse, with the New York Times Review declared it as Coldplay starring Beyoncé. In 2017, Lady Gaga drew in over 117 million viewers, and again more people watched her show than the game itself, captivating the audience with energetic choreo, awe-inducing aerial stunts, and raw, powerhouse vocals. She has always known how to be successful while combining performance pop theatre with legitimate commanding musicianship. But what was perhaps more impressive was her fearless authenticity and her urge for others to do the same. It reminded everyone of the legitimate talent of Gaga after her acclaimed album Joanne had produced no major international hit. She saved the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl sort of saved her. But who would you like to see at the next halftime show? Could Pink wow the audience? Would Mariah bring her 5-octave range? How about Dolly Parton and her slew of country hits? The divas helped save the Super Bowl. So who's next? And if you like this video, I've made another in asking what happened to the divas in modern music that you might enjoy. Thanks for watching. I'm Diva Talk.